All right, we live in both places, y'all. Zoe Betwalu. All right, y'all. Happy Tuesday. It is May the 3rd, 2022, day 98 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1116. Today, we're going to pick up on page 55 in OAHSPE, and then, if we have time, we're going to jump to page 94 and start reading about reincarnation. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you, Levon. Blessings. OAHSPE. All right. Oh, Auntie, I'm going to drop y'all stuff in the mail to y'all. I don't know when the next time y'all coming down here, but I've been meaning to drop it in the mail for like the last week. I got it in my truck, so I can remember when I leave out today, go to the mailbox, well, to the post office and mail it to y'all. I'm too dead to you. All right, y'all. So let's get started. Father, we are ecstatic that you have given us another day to get it right here and search for truth and walk in truth all the days of our lives. Okay, y'all. We are in the synopsis of 16 cycles, and we are starting at chapter 2 today. All right. God, that is Neph, N-E-P-H, said, "Hear my prayer, O Jehovah." So remember, I know y'all, but just in case somebody new come in today, this is constantly changing the cycles of the gods who are ruling the earth. So when you hear a different name, like it says right here, God, that is Neph. Neph is now ruling over the earth, right? Ashong is not ruling anymore. God, that is Neph, said, "Hear my prayer, O Jehovah. The earth and her heavens are going down in darkness. The Ehin hath been despoiled on all the divisions of the earth, save Waga." And after despoiled on, it has reference number 6, and it says destroyed off. So the Ehin have been destroyed off all the divisions of the earth, save Waga. More than 30,000 million angels are gathered on the surface of the earth, and they are too low in grade to be delivered. What shall thy God do, O Father? Mortals are descending in breed and blood. Only as diseased vermin do they inhabit the earth. Sheesh. Yeah, so remember this last one, Neph. Verse 33 of chapter 1. Neph, when he took reign, remember, nobody was delivered we talked about him a little bit, like, what you do? Nobody got to leave as a bride and bridegroom during your reign. Verse 33 of chapter 1 says, "The 16th cycle was under Neph, god of Sagons, and the ark of Ark Brook, but he failed to bring forth any harvest." So it's talking about why he didn't. We talked about him. I probably talked about a little bit bad yesterday, but we're going to see why he couldn't deliver in the bride of bridegrooms at the end of his ruling cycle. Okay. More than 30,000 million angels are gathered on the surface of the earth, and they are too low in grade to be delivered. What shall thy God do, O Father? Mortals are descending in breed and blood. Only as diseased vermin do they inhabit the earth. Their cities are destroyed, and they dwell after the manner of 4-footed beasts. The inspiration of thy God and his angels can no longer reach them. When they die, they enter these heavens. They are as festering sores on one another, thousands of millions of them. Sheesh. For 3,000 years have I labored with them, but the abundance of their darkness outmatched thy God. They all terrible. That's what you call baby. We see why nobody got delivered. He was ruling a whole generation of baby kids. For 3,000 years, and he had a long rule. For 3,000 years I labored with them, but the abundance of their darkness outmatched thy God. What shall I do with them, O Father? How shall thy God deliver so great a carcass of death? But Jehovah answered not the prayer of God, left him to consult with other gods in the higher heavens, left him in darkness another 1,000 years. Like, you'll figure it out. Let's give him another 1,000 years to prove. Let's see if he figured it out. But after higher heavens, it has reference number 7, and it says, left him in darkness another 1,000 years. Okay, it just repeated it, but there was a, let's see, in brackets. Okay, so there was a comma that was removed, it looks like. No, 7, left him in darkness another 1,000 years, left him in darkness another 1,000 years. It's in brackets, the footnote, but it says the exact same thing. Okay. But Jehovah answered not the prayer of God, left him to consult with other gods in higher heavens, left him in darkness another 1,000 years. But in Ethera, Jehovah spake to his Orion chiefs, saying, as I try mortals, so do I try angels. As I try them, so do I try my gods. Forever and ever do I keep before them the testimony of an all higher. Okay, so he being tested, right? He must still have something in him that he needed worked out. I ain't gonna say nothing to you, but you consult with your higher brethren to see how you can work this mess out on earth. Okay. But Jehovah answered not the prayer of God, left him to consult with other gods in the higher heavens, left him in darkness another 1,000 years. But in Ethera, Jehovah spake to his Orion chiefs, saying, as I try mortals, so do I try angels. As I try them, so do I try my gods. Forever and ever do I keep before them the testimony of an all higher, so that they will always know that I exist, the great spirit, the all, the highest. Mom, shalom, shalom. Francis, shalom. Now it came to pass on earth that the time of a generation of mortals had risen from 12 years to 80 years, and there were many who lived to be 300 years old, and they became very large, twice the size of men of this day. But when they were without judgment, but they were without judgment and of little sense. Hardly knew they their own species, and they mingled together, relatives as well as others, so that idiocy and disease were the general fate of the tribes of men, and they were large and strong and prolific. This then that follow is the grade of declension. This then that follow is the grade of declension, declension, the grade of declension in the heavens of the earth. That is, after Keshalon had changed the period of general from 12 years into upper grades, to wit, Abner, 7th dawn of Dan, enduring 3,200 years in Hastath, Etherian Aji 7, Hotan, grade 99. And after Abner, it has reference letter C. Remember, the letters are at the end of the chapter, and C says, the names listed through verse 23 are the Etherian administrators of the realms, receiving the harvest at the end of each cycle. From the 7th through the 15th cycle, they had the record of the grades of the harvest received, which declined from 99 to 51, with 51 being the lowest grade that could be raised to Ethera. Note that the 7th cycle for Earth was under the Etherian god Gopins, chapter 1, verse 15, and the 16th cycle was under the Etherian god Neph, chapter 1, verse 33, who had no harvest. Okay, I'll read 15 again. Abner, 7th dawn of Dan, enduring 3,200 years in Hastath, Etherian Aji 7, Hotan, grade 99. Ensini, goddess of Marseth, Ethera, Dan of Jem, enduring 3,000 years, grade 93. Boaz, god of Home, Orion Field, Dan of Josh, enduring 2,700 years, grade 88. Davi, goddess of OAHSPE in Aji 36, Dan of Ruth, enduring 2,900 years, grade 82. Lamis, goddess of war and broke, Dan 40, Orion Field, Simsi, enduring 3,000 years, grade 77. Divyas, god of Hut in Habak, Gia 22, Neth, enduring 3,100 years, grade 69. Royisius, goddess of Tamak, Bent, one of Huduots, enduring 3,070 years, grade 61. Yij, chief of Orion Field, Lud and Gu, Dan 74, enduring 2,600 years, grade 58. Gulyanev, chief Tenes, Orion Field, Ablo and Gia 40, enduring 3,400 years, grade 51. From this time onward, there was found no grade in the roadway of the solar phalanx or the great serpent sufficiently dense for the angels of the heavens of the earth. Chapter 3. O great spirit, our mother and father, let us bring our spirit into oneness with you. Into oneness with you. Hallelujah. Good morning, oh great spirit. Okay. Chapter 3, the time of 1,000 years of darkness. And after that subtitle, it has reference number 8, the time of 1,000 years of darkness. It says the same exact thing. I forget what the brackets are. Let's go back to the editor's notes. Brackets. Text was added in the 1881 edition, appears in square brackets. Okay. That appeared in the 1881 edition, and those that appear in bold was changed from the earlier text from the 1882. When text was altered between the 1882 and the 1891 editions, the earlier text from the 1882 edition appears in a footnote in bold. Okay. All right, so the brackets was added. All right. Chapter 3. Jehovah moved upon the Etherian worlds in the wide regions where traveleth the great serpent. His voice went forth, and amongst the counselors, the high ruling chieftains and exalted kingdoms in the firmament, he spoke, saying, Hear me, O ye chieftains, be ye far-seeing in my traveling worlds, and alert to my words. Behold the red star, the earth. Remember, the earth is called the red star. Behold the red star, the earth. Behold the red star, the earth hath attained her maturity, but she is rank. And it has reference number 9, and it says, but she is rank. As a daughter cometh forth in the prime of life, so standeth the young earth in her glory. For 50,000 years hath she displayed her part as an ornament of heaven and a harvest of bright souls for my exalted regions in the firmament. And after 50,000 years, it has reference in letter D, and that says, 50,000 years refers to the time from the first harvest to Ethera under Sethanes through the 16 cycles. It does not refer to the time from the creation of mankind. Gather together, O ye Orion chiefs, and ye Etherian goddesses, and ye that dwell in the roadway of the great serpent. Call ye a council of my everlasting rulers of worlds, and of them that plant my Aegean gardens and my Aegean fields, and of them that whirl my nebulous vortices in the firmament. The voice of Jehovah extended across the wide universe, and those who were high raised in the management of worlds heard and comprehended. And there assembled in the Etherian gardens of Sinaiah, near the roadway of the solar phalanx, millions of Jehovah's highest, and the place was a park larger than 100 times the earth, and round about on every side lie the crystalline borders of Ethereal worlds. And when they were assembled, Jehovah spake out of the light inherent, saying, 16 times have my Ethereal host redeemed the earth and her heavens from darkness into light. And yet ere the end of a cycle she falleth again, and her atmosphere with her. And now it hath come to pass that her heavens are filled with thousands of millions of spirits that know not me and my emancipated worlds. Speak, O ye gods and goddesses. Like, it's time to give account. Why they still down there dumb? Why don't they know about me yet, right? It look like we falling into that cycle again, but we waking up, right? Okay, who is the great creator? Why are we here, right? Okay. Speak, O ye gods and goddesses. Let me just read it again. Verse 6. 16, and this is the great spirit Jehovah or Yah speaking. 16 times have my Ethereal host redeemed the earth and her heavens from darkness into light, and yet ere the end of a cycle she falleth again, and her atmosphere with her. And now it hath come to pass that her heavens are filled with thousands of millions of spirits that know not me and my emancipated worlds. Speak, O ye gods and goddesses. Thereupon Sutlu said, O Jehovah, I have heard, I have beholden. Too prolific is the earth, the young daughter of heaven. Too prolific is the red star of the firmament. Next spake Kawaha, saying, Thou hast spoken, O Jehovah. Too prolific is the rich earth, O Father. Her mortals are overpowered by her atmospheric hosts. Her people build up cities and nations for a season after dawn, but soon they are overflooded by fetals and druhas, and the mortals devour one another as beasts of prey. Chiyong said, Her people have tilled all the soil of the earth and covered it over with cities, but where are they? Her people have been learned in the matters of heaven and earth, but their knowledge is dissipated by the dread hand of war. Duhita said, Her people have become wise in a day, but on the next they are fools. One generation becometh skilled in books and in knowledge of the sun and moon and stars, and in mathematics of corporal things. But a generation followeth, and lo, her people are cannibals again. Goswin said, I have heard, O Jehovah. I have witnessed, O Father. The red star is too prolific. She is like a garden too rich. Her products are overgrown, and they fall down and doubly enrich the soil again to reproduce an imperfect giant stalk that is barren. So are her sons and daughters. They all run to earthly substances. Luan said, Great Spirit, I have heard, I have seen. We gather the earth's harvest for thee, O Jehovah, but they are small. We gather the earth's harvest of dark spirits, O Jehovah, and they are 10 times larger. Behold, there is no balance between them. Thus spake the gods and goddesses, till thousands of them had spoken. After that the voice of Jehovah spake, saying, Ye are blessed, my sons and daughters. How can ye bequeath the administration of the earth and her heaven to the earth-born, till she is made suitable as a gift from my hand? Now hear me, O my sons and daughters. 5 great divisions of earth have I made, and they have all been inhabited over and tilled by mortals. Yea, on all the divisions of the earth have there been great cities and nations, and men and women of great learning. And as oft as they are raised up in light, so are they again cast down in darkness, because of the great desire of the spirits of the dead to return back to the earth. These druhas return to mortals and fasten upon them as fetals or as familiars, and inspire them to evil. Go now to the earth, O my beloved, and find the division of the earth where most of these druhas congregate, for I will uproot their stronghold. I will break them from their haunts, and they shall no longer carry my people down to destruction. Adri Shalom. On page 57, verse 16. And now the council deliberated, and after a while caused the records of the earth and her atmosphere to be examined. And they discovered that the heaven of the land of Waga, or Pan, was beyond redemption because of the great numbers of the spirits of the cannibals and of the multitude of fetals. It was as if a disease in the flesh be healed over externally, leaving the root of the disease within. Ooh, that's disgusting, right? Oh, you ever see something scab over, but under it, pus begins to form? It didn't heal right. They said that was the whole land of Pan, right? Or Waga, its original name, but we know it as Pan or Pangea, right? Oof. No wonder why it's sunken beneath the depths of the ocean. Sheesh. Okay. I'll read this again, verse 16. And now the council deliberated, and after a while caused the records of the earth and her atmosphere to be examined. And they discovered that the heaven of the land of Waga, or Pan, was beyond redemption because of the great numbers of the spirits of the cannibals and of the multitude of fetals. It was as if a disease in the flesh be healed over externally, leaving the root of the disease within. So was Waga in her heaven. The redemption of the cycles remained not with her, but evil broke out forever in a new way. So Jehovah said, now will I prune the earth and her heaven. Behold, the division of Waga shall be hewn off and cast beneath the waters of the ocean. Her heaven shall be no longer tenable by the spirits of destruction, for they will rend the foundation thereof and scatter them in the winds of heaven. Go ye therefore down to the earth. Hold on, I had to write something. Okay. Go ye therefore down to the earth and provide nets and vanchas for receiving the spirits of darkness and for receiving the spirits of mortals who shall perish in the waters. And provide ye a place in my exalted heavens suitable for them, and ye shall wall them about in heaven, that they cannot escape, but that they may be weaned from evil. And when ye are come to the earth and its heavens, acquaint my God and his lords with my decree, and say to them, thus saith Jehovah, behold, I will sink the land of Waga beneath the waters of the ocean, and her heaven will I carry away to a place of my firmament, where she shall no longer engulf my people in darkness. And Jehovah saith, go thou, O God of heaven, and thou, O Lord of Waga, down to my chosen, the Ehines, and say to them, thus saith the Great Spirit, behold, I will sink the lands of the earth beneath the ocean because of the evil of the spirits of darkness. Hear me, O my chosen, and heed my commandments. Fall to, all hands, build ships in all places, even in the valleys and on the mountains, and let my faithful gather together within the ships, for my hand is surely stretched over the earth. And ye shall also proclaim unto the earth and her heaven, that from the first, even in the ancient days, I proclaim my three worlds unto all people, which are my corporal worlds, and the lower heaven that belongeth thereto, and my ethereal heavens, which are in the firmament above. And I said, the first glory is of the earth, whereon is paradise when man obeyeth my commandments. And the second glory, which is greater than the first, I created for the spirits of the dead, but I bound the lower heaven to the earth, that it might travel therewith, that the communion of the dead with the living might add glory unto both. But the upper heaven I made the highest of all glories, and I filled the ethereal firmament with countless worlds of their kind for the dwelling places of those that rose in the third resurrection. Let me read all of that again. All of that was one verse, verse 20. And ye shall also proclaim unto the earth and her heaven, that from the first, even in the ancient days, I proclaim my three worlds unto all people, which are my corporal worlds, and the lower heavens that belong thereto, and my Etherian heavens, which are in the firmament above. And I said, the first glory is of the earth, whereon is paradise when man obeyeth my commandments. Right? So he said, earth will be paradise if you keep my commands. Here, Trina, hey girl, hey. The first glory is of the earth, whereon is paradise when man obeyeth my commandments. And the second glory, which is greater than the first, I created for the spirits of the dead, but I bound the lower heaven to the earth that it might travel therewith, that the communion of the dead with the living might add glory unto both. Right? So that's the part I wanted to read again. Now, so when we read, I'm going to just add my comment. I ain't saying this is true, but in my researching here in the last year or so, trying to figure out this, not to commune with the dead and all that stuff, of what was that really saying and what was the purpose. But a lot of times when we dream about family members, especially if they're giving us wisdom, they've already passed. Like my grandma showing up in a lot of my dreams and me refusing to talk to her, like me consciously going into my dreams, refusing to talk to my grandma after she had passed. Because in my dream, I'm conscious that you are no longer living amongst us while you here, grandma. And I would literally say, grandma, I ain't supposed to be talking to you. And she's looking at me like, listen here, silly, I got to tell you something. And I'm like, I'm not listening to you, but you are still talking. I am not listening to you. Like, I would literally do that to my grandma in my dreams, because I'm not supposed to talk to the dead. But sometimes what she wouldn't talk, because I wouldn't listen, she would point, right? And so I paid attention to her pointing. And remember that dream I shared with y'all? There was this big picture frame with this whole scene going on. Inside the picture frame, she said, Pam, pay attention to what's happening. She said, she didn't say it, but it was like I could hear what she was saying, but she wasn't moving her lips. She was pointing to the picture like, silly, pay attention to the picture. And inside of the picture frame, it was like a movie, kind of like a TV, but it was a picture frame. It was still at first, and then I noticed the picture began moving, and it was populated with different things, and 3 men came inside of the picture frame like you watching on the TV screen and somebody walk into the scene where you can see it. 3 men in painters' uniforms. They were coming in, taking stuff out of the picture frame, like walking off to the other edge. Then they recognized that I was watching them, and they was like, uh-oh, she's watching. And so they started moving stuff faster until everything was gone. And then I looked at my grandma, and she was like, I hope you was paying attention, because you need those things that they took, right? She said, go get them. You know, so I'm like, oh, shoot. So thinking about all this, I'm like, okay, don't talk to the dead. Clearly, I'm not going to a seance. I'm going to try and conjure up granddaddy or anything like that. I'm like, but what does that really mean? Was that thrown there? Was that added? Because I get wisdom from, we call when people die, they are now considered ancestors, right? Some people, I know they triggered by that word, but I'm still trying to work through all of this stuff. I'm like, Father, okay, we ain't supposed to be talking to the dead. But grandma done said some stuff that makes a whole lot of sense. And what I'm supposed to do with this, what does that really mean? Was that not explained the right way? Are we, because it seems like, and not just me, other people that I know, they, who was it, Dana? Dana said that her husband, Devon, his mom always comes to him in her dreams talking to him. They would sit at the table and they would talk, but his mom has passed away, right? So different things. Like I'm like, okay, it's something to this. I don't want to completely chuck it and completely ignore it, since especially because the Bible says, thou shalt not, you're not supposed to commune with the dead. But we know that a lot of things were added and taken away from the scripture. So I wanted to make sure that I really understood that and make sure that wasn't a part that was added. But because of my personal experience in earth, and those who are no longer living actually communicate with me, most of the time I ignore them because of that, I'm like, okay. But the wisdom that they're given, and then when I take the wisdom and I listen to it, I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay, so now I'm conflicted. Was what I read added or screwed with by somebody who translated? Or is that put there to keep us further disconnected from the wisdom, the unseen realm that is giving wisdom to us. Because we talk to a God in the unseen realm that hears us and speaks to us, right? We recognize guardian angels and stuff like that. Shalom, Cameron. We recognize all that, but it's like, yeah, you can talk to God, but don't talk to nobody else, right? But if Yah has left, if he has, I'm just working these thoughts out. If there are guardian angels that are here to help us, okay, so we just listen to them, we don't listen to them. How do we decipher? So I'm going through this phase where we decipher truth from error, who we listen to, who we don't listen to, make sure we truly understand who's in the other realm speaking to us, right? Trina, what they take, some of it I know, they took information, right? Especially because I'm a researcher, and my grandma knew she called me a stone cold researcher, right? So some of that stuff I knew was information that are pieces to the big puzzle that we need to be paying attention to, right? She said, you're gonna need that, go get it, so the majority of it was like blocks of information that was taken away, kind of like what they do in religion, right? They separate you, they pit the religions against one another. But what I've come to find out is that each of the religions have a little bit of the truth within their story on how they convey salvation and relating to the Great Spirit or relating to Yah. So some of those things, and I realized, I'm like, oh, we can't ignore them, because if we ignore them, we can't finish our puzzle. Everybody has a piece. If everybody could come together, work together, bring your pieces of the puzzle with you, let us figure this out. We'll put to the side those pieces that don't fit, and we'll get to that later. Some of it we're just gonna have to, it ain't good for nothing but the fire, right? Those things were added, but we don't know what was added yet, so we got to go through everything. And that's why I would say keep everything on the table, all the pieces. All right, let's go back. Who we at? Oh, we at 32 minutes already? Oh, this is the end of the chapter. Let me finish reading. Okay, this is the end of this section too. The end of this book. Okay, I'll read this. Let me go back up. I'll read 20 again. I know this is my third time reading it. And ye shall also proclaim unto the earth and her heaven that from the first, even in the ancient days, I proclaimed my three worlds unto all people, which are my corporal worlds, and the lower heavens that belong thereto, and my ethereal heavens, which are in the firmament above. And I said, the first glory is of the earth, whereon is paradise when man obeyeth my commandments. And the second glory, which is greater than the first, I created for the spirits of the dead. But I bound the lower heaven. The lower heaven, meaning the spirits of the dead, those who pass from the living earth to the next realm, is that realm, the lower heaven. He bound that heaven to the earth so that they could communicate, which makes sense on why people that I know that pass come to give me wisdom, right? I guess maybe it's not them, but maybe I recognize their form. And so I'll be like, I would be more apt to listen to the wisdom. Whereas in my thinking, if a stranger shows up, who are you and what are you telling me, right? I would trust, the forms that I recognize first. Okay. The first glory is of the earth, whereon is paradise when man obeyeth my commandments. And the second glory, which is greater than the first, I created for the spirits of the dead. But I bound the lower heaven to the earth, that it might travel therewith, that the communication of the dead with the living might add glory unto both. But the upper heaven I made the highest of all glories, and I filled the ethereal firmament with countless worlds of their kind for the dwelling places of those that rose in the third resurrection. And I sent from the exalted heavens down to the lower heavens, and to the earth also my holy angels, over whom I appointed gods and lords in the majesty of my dominions. And they came proclaiming these things in my name, teaching both mortals and spirits how to live, that they might rise and inherit my illuminated worlds. And because man was without knowledge, my gods and lords appointed certain masters of generations, and in parentheses, the masters of generations are called Louis, Loo'Is. And because man was without knowledge, my gods and lords appointed certain masters of generations, Louis, who were the Etherians of great wisdom, to abide with mortals and inspire such marriages as would best promote spiritual growth from the start. Oh, that's good. I'll read this again. Verse 22. And because man was without knowledge, my gods and lords appointed certain masters of generations, Louis, who were the Etherians of great wisdom, to abide with mortals and inspire such marriages as would best promote spiritual growth from the start. And there came forth amongst all people certain ones capable of Sargis and Suis, and they heeded the commandments of my gods and lords, forsaking evil and striving to serve the Spirit, choosing me above all things. Wherefore I chose them also and called them Ehings. Couple more verses, y'all, and we'll be done with this whole chapter. For as much as they commenced putting away self and serving me, whilst they were yet in corpore, or here in the flesh, so were they not born in the spirit world before their full time. Oh, that's good. Listen. For as much as they commenced putting away self and serving me, whilst they were yet in corpore, so were they not born into the spirit world before their full time, which meant they lived a long life. They didn't die before their time because they chose to sell out to Yah. Because they chose him, he chose us as well. And they got to live long. They weren't prematurely born into the spirit realm, or they didn't prematurely die. This is good. May it be said of us all that we don't die prematurely, right? That's what I strive every day. Yah, I choose you. Don't let me be born prematurely. For as much as they commenced putting away self and serving me, whilst they were yet in corpore, so were they not born in the spirit world before their full time. And even so are others not of full birth, who have not in the corporal form began to triumph in spirit over their own flesh. Jehovah said, Go forth, O my sons and daughters, and prune my vineyard, and beseech my God of the earth and his lords with him to gather together all the angels of the earth, from east to west and from north to south, to the land of Waga. Bring them. My Etherian ships of fire shall surround Waga on every side, and I will cut loose the foundations of the earth at the borders of the ocean and the mountains of Gan, nor shall any prop or cornerstone stay my hand. And I will send rains and winds and thundering, and the waters of the great deep shall come upon the lands, and the great cities shall go down and be swallowed in the sea. And the rich valleys of Mai, M-A-I, with her 1,000 cities, shall be rent with the madness of men and women, fleeing before the waters of the ocean, and women and children shall fall by the way and be drowned, and men shall go down into the water and not rise up. And the wide plains of Og, with her 1,000 cities, and with the great capital of Pinj, and the temples of Ku and Bart and Gan and Sang shall sink to rise no more. And in the deluge, the air of heaven shall be filled with the screaming and wailing of millions of mortals going down to destruction. I will rescue them from darkness. I will carry them to Ajan regions, which I previously created for spirits of darkness, and I will appoint over them gods and goddesses to teach them of me and my kingdoms. And the earth and her heavens shall take a new star amongst my habitable worlds. Thus have I provided labor for my high-raised angels in the places I created, saith Jehovah. And this is the end of the synopsis of the 16 cycles. So Yah is so very gracious. Even the spirits of evil, he allows them a chance of redemption, right? They don't just, like Christianity teaches you, you just bound to hell forever. And that's where you stay and you're going to burn forever. No. Takes them to a place where they can learn and they can be purged of their evil ways, because everything Yah makes is good, right? Even if you're born and you're evil, you get to do it again, right? And we're going to purge you of all this darkness. He said, because his kingdom is full of light, right? Okay, so it has this picture, plate number 4, the earth and its atmosphere in heavens. And then that'll be, can y'all see that? Let me get a little close, just in case you ain't got a book. Okay, that's for Facebook. So that story was just a little bit, a little more of the whole deluge or the flood account that we read about in Genesis. All right, so that's it from the OAHSPE today. And we're going to pick up tomorrow with the book of Af, son of Jehovah. All right. We have 41 minutes. We get to pick up where we left off at yesterday in the meditation book, talking about reincarnation. Let's get into it. Page 94. Ooh. Cameron, shalom, shalom. Okay. Karma and reincarnation. The concept that has come to be known as karma was known in ancient Egypt before the advent of yoga in India. In ancient Africa, it was called Ari, or actions, deeds. Ari, A-R-I, should be thought of as the total effect of a person's actions and conduct during the successive phases of his or her existence. But how does this effect operate? How do the past actions affect the present and the future? If you consider your present lifetime, you will notice that your actions of the past have led you to where you are today in much the same way as a fruit tree planted today will bear fruit in a few years. Your experiences from the present life or from previous lifetimes cause unconscious impressions which stay with the individual soul at the level of the causal body and the deep unconscious level of the mind, even after death. These unconscious impressions are what constitute the emerging thoughts, desires, and aspirations of every individual, and they cause future incarnations because they impel the soul to continue on the journey of seeking fulfillment of the desires. These impressions are not exactly like memories. However, they work like memories. For example, Jan, good morning. For example, if you had a fear in a previous lifetime or the childhood of your present lifetime, you may not remember the event that caused the fear, but you will remember the strange feeling when you have when you come in contact with certain objects or certain people. These feelings are caused by the unconscious impressions which are coming up to the surface of the conscious mind. It is the conglomerate of unconscious impressions which are judged in the hall of Ma'at, or the hall of righteousness, and determine where the soul will go next in the spiritual journey toward evolution or devolution, also known as the cycle of birth and death or reincarnation, as well as the experiences of heaven or hell. Now let me say something. When I thought about this, because I have a fear of heights. Now I can remember nothing in my life that have caused me to have that. They say anything that's like unfounded, like some people have, they're like born in there to have this fear of spiders. Like that is like, first of all, that's like ridiculous to us. Like You are 10 billion times bigger than a spider. Those are what you call unfounded fears, right? And it has something to do. There is a reason, you just don't know, right? It's something maybe in your previous carnation or your previous life before your soul or your spirit entered into this particular time. Something happened where it's been impressed upon your soul, especially if you can't find anything in this life, like, oh, I fell from a building earlier in my days and now I have this fear of heights. No, this is an unfounded fear in my life. And I'm like, why am I afraid of heights? Like, there's nothing that's happened in my life. There is no trauma or anything that will cause me to logically have a fear of heights. And when I began to think about this and research this quite a few months ago, that's when I ran into these things and it was talking about the impressions that have been left on your spirit or your soul throughout time. And that comes from a previous time where your spirit was going, right? Like, I also have this love for very ancient things. I'm like, okay, well, before here, I'm not sure. I'm still working these things out, thinking through them, right? I'm like, okay, so before this lifetime, and if you're triggered by a lifetime and a reincarnation talk, just bear with me. We're still trying to figure this out, right? So I'm running these thoughts through my mind. I'm like, okay, I have this love for vintage things, these ancient things. My most favorite term, aside from the most holy, calling Yah the most holy, I love calling him the Ancient of Days. It just, something resonates on the inside of me when he's called the Ancient of Days, right? So it's like, okay, there's something to this. I can't quite figure it out, so I keep searching every now and again in my research, or as I keep reading through some of the material that I still have yet to go through. Some of my questions are answered. Sometimes you get answers about things like, yeah, no, I don't think that's quite it. But when you hear truth, you will know truth because it like resonates within your whole being. Like, yes, that like, I feel that's the truth. Like, you can feel the truth, if that makes sense. Okay. So I just wanted to bring it up because it talked about this. I'm gonna go back and read again. Dana, hey girl, hey, the movie Soul. Okay. For those that just came in, we are on page 94 of the meditation book, and this entire section is called Karma and Reincarnation. So let me go back. Let me read it again. I just want to share that with you. Okay. The concept that has come to be known as karma was known in ancient Egypt before the advent of yoga in India. In ancient Africa, it was called Ari, A-R-I, or actions, deeds. Ari should be thought of as the total effect of a person's actions and conduct during the successive phases of his or her existence. But how does this effect operate? How do the past actions affect the present and the future? If you consider your present lifetime, you will notice that your actions of the past have led you to where you are today, in much the same way as fruit is planted today will bear fruit in a few years. Your experiences from the present life or from previous lifetimes cause unconscious impressions which stay with the individual's soul at the level of the causal body and the deep unconscious level of the mind, even after death. So that's saying that even if you reincarnate or you come back again or you didn't pass this grade this time, whatever was deeply embedded on your soul, like say somebody, I don't know if this is the case, but I think people who have the fear of spiders, maybe they were like buried alive or something in a previous lifetime, or dropped into a chamber of torturous death where it was nothing but spiders, right? And maybe that left an impression it left a trauma on the soul at the physical level. So every time they come back, that lingers with them, because think traumas like that, it indelibly imprints itself on your soul, just like we have tattoos imprinted on our flesh, and you come with it, just like with birthmarks, right? It's the same thing with birthmarks, from what I understand. Just go ahead and rip it open.
I was trying not to.
Opening up the iron board. And so I'm not saying that I'm 100% correct, but all of my studies up until today leads me to that fact. Now, that could change as we go later on. If y'all got more information on what I currently have at this point, because I don't have everything, but everything that I've gathered up until this point leads me to that. So if there's a major trauma that happens in this lifetime, and say if you don't pass this grade and you got to come back again, whatever that was that's imprinted itself on your spirit or on your soul, that is going to carry over with you, because it's, you know, it's just like a tattoo. I know you can get tattoos removed, just like traumas can be removed if you're properly delivered of them. That way you don't carry that over with you. So I hope that makes sense. Okay. These unconscious impressions are what constitute the emerging thoughts, desires, and aspirations of every individual, and they cause future incarnations because they impel the soul to continue on the journey of seeking fulfillment of the desires. These impressions are not exactly like memories. However, they work like memories. For example, if you had a fear in a previous lifetime or the childhood of your present lifetime, you may not remember the event that caused the fear, but you will remember the strange feeling you have when you come in contact with certain objects or certain people. These feelings are caused by the unconscious impressions which are coming up to the surface of the conscious mind. It is the conglomerate of unconscious impressions which are judged in the hall of Ma'at. Remember, Ma'at means righteousness, a balanced scale. Cameron said it sounds like it carries over so we can get over them in the next life. Yeah, I believe that. So if it keeps coming with you, you got to figure out a way to get delivered of it, right? Look, the first thing I did... And y'all seen it months, or it was last year. The first thing I did to try and kick this fear of heights, what we do, babe? We went parasailing. We went parasailing. I passed out like 47 times in the air. It was my idea to go do this for my husband's birthday, y'all. I'm gonna see it. I gotta get the video. I'm gonna reshare the video today. I gotta find it. It's last year. Yeah, about almost this time last year, because your birthday in June. I'm gonna find the video. Y'all, we was on the boat. I was good. Yeah, we about to go parasailing for his birthday. I'm all hyped till we get on the boat. And now my feet start shaking. I'm sweating under my arms. Oh, babe, maybe this was a bad idea. He looking at me like, why'd you even do this? And I'm like, because I want to do something different for your birthday, right? And so they was like, who want to go first? I'm like, and other people raising hands like, oh my God, so you like that one that go to the back of the line, Now you can't back up no more. And my husband like, yeah, we going next. I'm like, what? What do you mean we going next? Y'all, I'm about to use the bathroom on myself. I'm like, you know what? I know we done paid for this, but I'm gonna sit this one out, you know. And if look, I did it for my husband. If my husband wasn't there, I would not have gotten up in the air. Y'all, when I said I passed out like 47 times, I'm glad my phone was strapped around my neck.
Yeah, that's fine though. It was really
now, it was the whole, that's why I don't like roller coasters. Like, I just can't do it. Because it's like, I don't know, I feel like my soul is just going to leave my body if that happens. But, you know, once we got up there, you know, it was the worst part about it to me was to actually the part being you weren't thrown off the boat, but when they let that shoot out, that wind just, and you just, like somebody snatch your soul out your body. That's what it feel like, and you being snatched extremely fast. And then once you get up in the air, y'all, it was the most peaceful experience I've ever felt in my life. It was so quiet up there. The scenery was absolutely amazing. It was beautiful, right? I'm like, you know what? That was an unfounded fear. Yeah, sure. We could have got tangled in the air with other parasailers that were out there. Sure, the rope could have snapped and we could have flew off into oblivion, then been caught in the water under the parachute and drowned. Sure, that could have happened.
That's all I was thinking.
I was thinking the worst possible things that could happen to us, and what's supposed to have been a joyous event for my husband's birthday could have ended in the death of the both of us, right? So sometimes you just got to take chances. Now, would I do it again? Absolutely. Because now I realize there's nothing to be scared of, you know. you have on a life jacket and everything. I think next time I may have like a little pocket knife or something with me just in case something does happen. I can cut through the, I still got these crazy thoughts. I just want to be able to make sure I can break free.
Would you do jet skiing again? The jet skiing experience is just the height that would.
Yeah. Wait, jet skiing is fine. Okay. I love the jet skiing. It was just going up in the air where I didn't have my footing, my grounding. Now, something I really want to do, you might think I'm off my rocker. I really want to jump off a plane. I really do, right? That's like my next my next test of kicking this fear of heights. I really want to do that. I watch a lot of videos on it, but I haven't really worked up the courage to do it. But yeah. Maybe a little bit later on in life. We'll see. I don't know. Okay, let me get back to this. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Oh, you know what? I forgot about that, Trina. That was my first one, too. Trina said, sounds like my experience being flown off the ship snatched me so hard. Yeah, I remember because when I went out for my second med cruise, I got flown off, too, because I found out I was pregnant with Jeremiah. So I was out there probably about 2 weeks and started getting real sick and thought it was just the seasickness again, but it wasn't. I went down to medical. Miss Murphy, you're pregnant. I'm like, yes, I ain't got to do another man cruise. I ain't got to be out here 6 months with y'all. I'm chucking the deuces to everybody on this ship, right? But yeah, being flown, being shot off the catapult on the flight deck, that was the first, because when you're shot off, then it goes down. I'm like, oh my God, we all about to die. And then it gradually picks up momentum and take you back in the air. So that right there is, yeah, I forgot about that, Trina. That was the first rush. The second was the parasailing. So next, we're going to do some skydiving. We're gonna work ourselves up to that. I need a few more years of preparation and watching some videos and stuff and getting other people's experiment. I need to see if anybody died doing this. And that's, you know what? That's what those unconscious fears are. Yeah. It's protecting you. It's like your fight or flight, your survival mode is trying to keep you alive, right? So that's why I said something may have happened in a previous lifetime. If it's unfounded here in this lifetime where there is no logical reason why I should be afraid of heights, something must have been imprinted on my soul in the previous time that possibly caused my death at the previous time, which carried on here, so yeah. This is real interesting, y'all. First, I would never even touch the subject of reincarnation. I'm like, that's foolishness of the devil. We ain't even looking into it. Don't even look at it, right? But now that I look into it, I got a lot of questions that I've had while I was over in the Christian realm that nobody could quite answer. Like, is that the devil? Just leave it alone. I'm like, well, can somebody answer this question then? No, nobody. Okay, Okay, let me go back so we can finish this. Okay. These unconscious impressions are what constitute the emerging thoughts, desires, and aspirations of every individual, and they cause future incarnations because they impel the soul to continue on the journey of seeking fulfillment of the desires. These impressions are not exactly like memories. However, they work like memories. For example, if you had a fear in a previous lifetime or childhood of your For example, if you had a fear in a previous lifetime or the childhood of your present lifetime, you may not remember the event that caused the fear, but you will remember the strange feeling you have when you come in contact with certain objects or certain people. These feelings are caused by the unconscious impressions which are coming up to the surface of the conscious mind. It is this conglomerate of unconscious impressions which are judged in the hall of Ma'at and determine where the soul will go to in the next spiritual journey toward evolution or devolution, also known as the cycle of birth and death or reincarnation, as well as the experiences of heaven or hell. The following segment from the ancient Egyptian Instruction to Merkare explains this point. Quote, You know that they are not merciful the day when they judge the miserable one. Do not count on the passage of the years. They consider a lifetime as but an hour. After death, man remains in existence and his acts accumulate beside him. Life in the other world is eternal, but he who arrives without sin before the judge of the dead, he will be there as a netter, and he will walk freely as do the masters of eternity. End quote. The reference above to his acts accumulate beside him alludes to the unconscious impressions which are formed as a result of one's actions while still alive. These impressions can be either positive or negative. Positive impressions are developed through positive actions by living a life of righteousness or ma'at and virtue. This implies living according to the precepts of mystical wisdom or being a follower of Heru or Simsu Hor and Aset. These actions draw one closer to harmony and peace, thus paving the way to discover the self within or the God within, your true nature. The negative impressions are developed through sinful actions. They are related to mental agitation, disharmony, and restlessness. This implies acts based on anger, fear, desire, greed, depression, gloom, etc. These actions draw one into the outer world of human desires. They distract the mind and do not allow the intellect or the S-A-A, to function. Thus, existence at this level is closer to an animal, being based on animal instincts and desires of the body, and after body it has selfishness, rather than to a spiritually mature human being based on reason, selflessness, compassion, etc. How then is it possible to eradicate negative karmic impressions and to develop positive ones? The answer lies in your practice of the spiritual disciplines collectively known as yoga. When you study the teachings and live according to them, your mind undergoes a transformation at all levels. This transformation is the purification of heart, so often spoken about through the Egyptian Book of Coming Forth by Day, which they have mislabeled and called it the Egyptian Book of the Dead, right? No, it's really the Book of Life, the Coming Forth by Day, or the Book of Enlightenment. This transformation is the purification of heart, so often spoke about throughout the Egyptian Book of Coming Forth by Day. It signifies an eradication of negative impressions, which renders the mind pure and suitable. When the mind is rendered suitable, then spiritual realization is possible. This discipline of purifying the heart by living according to the teachings is known as the yoga of action, or ma'at. And that's what we're going to pause at today. Tomorrow we'll pick it back up with the rest of this as it gets into yoga and religion. All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed the reading for today. That's going to be our title, Karma and Reincarnation, and something else. I'm gonna put in the title, something from the OAHSPE today. So that's going to be our title for today. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I certainly did. Yep, that's it. Anybody spot the new moon last night? I went to bed early. I ain't see nothing, right? I didn't even check the charts this morning either. I'm gonna check them as soon as we get off. Matter of fact, let me see if I can check it right now. Hold on, let me see. We're an hour and 4 minutes. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, yeah, it was confirmed. Okay, I'm glad I looked. Yep, confirmed. Yeah, confirmed here in Virginia, too, in Blacksburg. Okay, approximately 8:11 p.m. Arizona, Missouri, Georgia, Barbados. Okay. All right, y'all. So the Sabbath changes to Sunday. Okay, Israel, if you're observing from Israel, they haven't seen it yet, or at least no reports have been posted yet. They haven't reported up here. So we'll see what theirs says when theirs post. But according to our timeline over here, they saw it in quite a few places here, even in Virginia. So the Sabbath moves to Sunday, y'all, since it was spotted Sunday evening, May the 1st. So this moon cycle, starting this weekend coming up, we will be observing the Sabbath on Sunday. All right, beautiful people. So that's it. Thank y'all for hanging out. Today it is May the 3rd, 2022, Tuesday, day 98 of year 4, reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets. Another 4-year consecutive day count, day 1116. We read pages 55 through 58 in the OAHSPE and pages 94 through 95 in the meditation book. Hop up for a second, Pooh. Hop up. I'll let you in there. Hold on. Let me just write something. All right. All right. So with that being said, may y'all continue to bless and keep you all. And y'all willing, I will see everybody back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Birds. All right. I'm going to post. I forgot to post what I said I was going to post yesterday. They just got busy. I'm going to try and get it posted today once I get to the warehouse. It's going to be